on time. Let's get started. I think if we get through some of the housekeeping items, then by that time, hopefully, we need one more for a quorum,
Yeah,
right?
to be able to
We need
vote for minutes, worst case.
I'll
we
keep
can
looking outside
Vote
here.
on minutes next month.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's go ahead and bring this meeting to order. Let's do a roll call. You want to do that, Karen? You want me to do it?
Roll call.
Do you have it?
Yes.
Brianna, perfect.
R. Fred Book,
Aye, here.
Mark Hughes.
Here?
Andrew Graham.
Here.
Maureen Brennan,
Here.
Lou Flores,
Here.
Tim Bancroft,
Present.
and Jim Payne.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Okay, thank you. The minutes were sent out. Brianna sent the minutes out with the rest of the agenda packet. And if no one has any questions or comments or changes, be looking for a motion and a second to approve those.
I'll make a motion. But no, not yet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Who said that? Oh, I thought you
Autopilot.
guys did. Oh, yeah, very good. Yeah, okay, well, wait on that. That's right.
Introductions.
Thank you. You know, rookie mistake here. All right, so what we'd like to do now is something special, is recognize one of our members who has retired after over 20 years on this commission, glutton for punishment, and 9 of those years as chair of the Hazmat Commission, and that is George Smith. Hi, you made it.
There's my replacement.
George has been a true leader with this organization over the past 20 years. We were just talking about how it's changed over the past couple of decades, and but it's grown and it's better because of all the changes. So George, what we would like to do is recognize you, and we thought what better way to do so than to have a proclamation from the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
So I'd like to quickly read this. A lot of times I remember when I was on Benicia City Council, we'd get these and I'd skip over a bunch, but you know what? Your 21 years deserves to hear all of this here. So I'll go through it. In the matter recognizing George Smith for his over 20 years of service, Contra Costa Hazardous Materials Commission. Whereas since his appointment on December 6, 2004, George has continuously served on the Hazardous Materials Commission. Whereas proudly representing the environmental engineering seat, George has served for 3 years as an alternate, 17 years as the primary seat, and served as chair of the Hazardous Commission from 2012 to 2021. And whereas as a member of the Hazardous Materials Commission, Planning and Policy Development Committee, George used his vast knowledge and experience to assist the committee in making policy recommendations to the county's Board of Supervisors. And whereas George has been the founder and president of GBR Smith, a leader within the environmental consulting, engineering, and petrochemical industries. And whereas contributed exceptionally to the Hazardous Materials Commission through his roughly 50 years of business experience in environmental consulting, remediation, engineering, construction, refining industries, and robust experience in marketing, business development, strategic planning, operations, management, project management. Well, that's a lot there, George. Whereas in addition to the contributions to the Hazardous Materials Commission, George Smith has also served as the president of the Western States Petroleum Association for Northern California Associates chapter. George has been president and member of the board of directors of Contra Costa County Industrial Association. And he has served as the co-chair of the Environmental and Manufacturing Task Force for the Contra Costa Council, as well as serving on their executive committee. George Smith will be honored by his peers from the Hazardous Materials Commission at the occasion at their March 27th meeting, which is today. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Contra Costa County does hereby recognize and honor George Smith for his 20 years of service on the Contra Costa Hazardous Materials Commission. George, congratulations.
Thank you. I didn't ask, you normally have a public counting of the vote for who voted for me for this. So I didn't want to know what those results were.
We say he barely made it by one.
He said it was by one vote. But it's really been an honor serving. 20 years goes pretty fast when you're really enjoying what you do, right? Yeah, but one aspect of it that I really like is the fact that we come from a whole spectrum, from a political point of view. And the good news is I think we all work together. I would say bipartisan, it's probably multi-partisan, right? Yeah, points of view, but we all work together toward a common view or goal. And I think that would be, we all want a cleaner environment. And I think we all want a high quality of life. So I guess parting words I would have is in policy decisions or supporting regulations, always think about the little guy, you know, the working class. Sometimes the stuff that comes out of Sacramento is neglects the working class and what they do. And that came out actually in the zero emissions policy by 2045. Actually, CARB itself, the California Air Resources Board, in their 2022 scoping document had a socioeconomic section. And in that, they pointed out that the hardest hit group of people is going to be in the working class for this movement. And there were actual statistics of billions of dollars mentioned in that. So I would say that's something we all need to keep in mind, you know, is think about unintended consequences when regulations and laws are made. So that's kind of my parting words, you know, of advice. And keep working together. You all are very talented people, and I really appreciate all of you. And keep doing the good work. And I guess that's it for today. And I didn't get like I said, my pension check.
Yeah, we told them we were going to double or triple all the money we've given them so far. So
So least you could have done is got him a damn cake.
yeah.
And I guess Jim Paynham's going to say, well, you were here before I was, right? So my 20 years is probably nothing compared to your level of service, right?
I think I'm hitting close to 30.
Oh my gosh, yeah, but you were like 12 years old, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, but thanks a lot. I've got tickets to the Sweet 16 games tonight in San Francisco. So I'm gonna
Maryland, Florida?
and in Arkansas and Texas Tech, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Maryland and Florida are playing like
It's
20 minutes.
4:30, so I'm gonna go watch some basketball tonight. So, but thanks again for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. I was talking to a colleague today, and I was telling him that we're going to be recognizing George, and he said something I thought rang true. Is he said George has been a friend and advocate for the industry and for the environment, which is a really, and you really have been. It's been a great balance, and I know everything you've done is from the heart.
Yeah, well, a good way to start when you go to public meetings and you speak out and you introduce yourself, a good way to start with the first sentence is that I'm so-and-so and I care for the environment. And then you get off to a good start on your remarks, right? Anyway, thanks to all of you. I'm sorry I had to miss the presentation today. And I'm sure it'll be on the networks tonight, right?
It'll be online. Everyone watch that.
Sweet.
On camera.
Yeah. Okay, I'm out of here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
Okay, take care. Yeah.
We're like a dog car seat, shock me.
Oh my God. Wait, now I'm scared. Chris, explain this.
Okay, that brings us to item number 3, public comment. I see.
I'm here for an agenda item.
Oh, you're here for agenda items. So this would be for any items that are not on the agenda.
I have a public comment, not as a commissioner, it's sort of a question.
Yeah. you can do that.
And it has to do with a community meeting I was at recently, talking about bad smells in Rodeo. And the discussion was, oh, yeah, it's that vomit smell. Oh, no, it's that garbage smell. And then I was at a meeting in Richmond, and it turns out people there are experiencing the garbage smell. And I'm wondering to what extent our department is pursuing this. That's my first question, but also second question is, we don't currently have an ombudsman, and I don't know who to tell people to call. Who do they call?
So let's be just a little bit careful since it's not an agenda item. It is public comment. So you can answer questions, but we can't get into a long discussion about it. Anyway, yeah, so there's no
In terms of the ombudsman, my understanding is that I believe they were appointing
someone to it, and it was a doc. I thought they had made the decision on it. It was a Lisa Rodello.
Correct.
At
Has
least
she been-
it like officially started yet, or just they're maybe still getting that set up?
I believe she has. I don't know to what capacity and to what extent, but she's definitely involved is my understanding. But I could ask Adam and get back to you all.
Is that listed on our website?
That would be good
Yes.
to have.
Get it on the
That's where I
website.
saw it, like today I was, reviewing stuff and it's up there.
I got the staff email, so that's why I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are
that'd be
you
great.
aware of any discussion of this or investigation into this?
I'm not. But Adam would know. I could get back to you guys. It's fairly easy ask.
Okay, thank you, Maureen. Any other, is there anyone online, Brianne?
We have a few people online, but no hand raised for public comments.
Okay. All right, if there is no other comments, we'll close public comment. And we'll move on to report from hazardous materials programs.
So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Karen Abramians. I'm with County Hazmat. I'm sitting in for Adam just for today. And Nicole is also not in town, so I will be doing the update.
Yeah.
So be patient with me. So she has some items here on the Marathon November 19, 2023 fire and serious injury that resulted. We have created a dedicated webpage for this incident. I will have Brianna send that website to you guys. The safety culture management systems evaluation began on January 30th, 2025. We anticipate having a draft report early May, and we'll be opening up a 45-day public comment period and host a public meeting for this report. MRC February 1st, 2025 fire update. CCH staff continues their safety inspection. I believe we just completed that. CCH issued a letter on 3/18 to the refinery stating the intent to have staff seated at the refinery overseeing compliance through the end of the safety inspection to the startup of the refinery. So we'll have staff on site is the plan. All items we will be reviewing are detailed in the letter. However, to give some insight, we will be reviewing management of change and pre-startup safety review documentation, performing site walkdowns, and being very involved in all aspects of process safety. I'm not sure if they released that letter, but if they did, I will get a copy out to everyone. I know it went to the refinery. I just don't know if they made it public yet, but I'll find out. CCH will begin the incident investigation very soon. The contract is expected to be signed no later than Monday of next week. CCH has been working with a toxicologist. We expect the draft report the week of 3/31, and CCH will schedule a public meeting to present the results. We also had a town hall, the Martinez Town Hall, a few weeks ago. And we do have a dedicated website for MRC also, and we'll get that out to you guys. And that's it.
Okay,
Any
any
questions?
questions of Karen?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yes.
So how long, and you may have said it and I just kind of missed it, but the CCH staff, how long will they be on site?
So the idea is they will be there until startup of the refinery. Because we wanted to keep an eye on everything to make sure it's going smoothly.
Do you have any idea when startup is, or how long is that?
I believe, I don't remember. It's by the end of the year, I believe.
Okay.
Or some, yeah, I don't have the exact schedule. But MRC did release that, so we can find out and get that to you. I just don't have it off the top of my head. And it's all anticipated, right? It could be way different than what they're saying.
So they're not running now?
No.
Okay, other questions?
Quick question. You said that it's the Contra Costa Health Department that's doing the review, not Hazmat Department?
So we are health. We're a
We're
branch of
under-
Contra Costa Health. Yeah, Hazmat is a part of Contra Costa Health.
Yes, yes. I
So-
do know that.
Oh.
But But your department is not doing the review, like. 'cause
They are,
there's-
they are, so we did the safety inspection and we are doing we are.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it is.
sorry.
Hazmat. Okay, just to be clear.
Okay, we good? All right, thank you, Karen. And next is a update or report from Operations Committee monthly meeting. Who is the?
Chairman.
Chairman?
Me? So let's see, we primarily went over what our plans were going to be for the event that are planning for later this year for the forum. We discussed and gave Adam a number of people that we wish to invite, as well as how we would want to structure the event. Trying to make sure that we're addressing the responses that we have to hazardous incidents. There was actually a really great suggestion of having them do a run it, what a day in the life of, or a day in the action of, as well. What are the recycling programs that we have, batteries, medications, things like that, but as well then, what are the resources that we have for people to be better informed and whatnot. So with that list, they're gonna be doing some reaching out, where I think we narrowed down a couple of dates at that meeting.
I believe so.
Yeah, so then we'll be checking with the union.
Union Hall, 4 to 6 September.
Yeah,
Set a day yet.
This was during the week.
it was during the week, yeah,
Weekday at the Union Hall from 4 PM to 6 PM in the month of September.
right.
Date to be determined, was from my notes.
But I think it was the beginning of September is what we had
It was
discussed.
7th or 12th or something.
Yeah.
It was a maybe, but I left it blank because it was unknown.
Yeah, but we wanted to give some windows, but like also constraint of windows to be able to ask for the Union Hall availability to make sure that we could have that space. As well, we discussed being able to have it on was it public access, and the code,
CCTV.
yeah, is it CCTV? Okay, CCTV, and let's see, what else?
City newsletters.
The form is one thing, but there's also these points.
Oh, yes, and then we discussed going over the assigned operations committee agenda, what are the topics that have been assigned to us, discussing that hazardous materials transportation corridor, trying to see if we can get some speakers on that. Again, trying to get more informed about battery waste management and recycling, especially with the new emerging technologies that are coming out. And as well, try to understand how they're or what practices are they putting in place in order to be able to do fire prevention and disaster prevention. And then as well, try to get some updated information about hydrogen generation. And where is that in the process within here in the county, and what can we expect going forward, whether it's going to be only commercial use or whatnot. That was the lion's share of everything.
Busy meeting.
We also were invited because of where we held the meeting. We were invited to be able to see some of the trucks and the vehicles that are used, as well. Got kind of the behind the scenes tour of the response team and asked some questions. I will say that it was really, really cool. It was really fascinating to see just all of the highly technical equipment that they call out whenever there is an incident, and hearing about how they help keep this county safe. So I want to thank y'all for giving us the tour, and say if anybody gets a chance, definitely take that, because it was really interesting.
It was awesome. The mobile
Yeah,
apps.
yeah.
That could go code 3.
And we can share the photos, but we didn't want to make it too jealous.
You guys like little kids?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big eyes and
Yeah.
what.
The toys you all get to play with.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
We have drones though.
I know. I give in, yeah, I want a drone. They won't buy us a drone. They have a lot of drones.
Okay, any questions, Jamin? Okay, thank you.
Mark, can I just jump in? I think I misspoke with Maureen. So the investigation, they hired a contractor to do the investigation. It's overseen by us, by the health department.
The health department.
Yes, so I think, is that better answer the question?
But, yeah, no, yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Okay. You might wonder why there's no report from planning and policy. It's because that committee only meets every other month now, so there was not a meeting scheduled. Our next meeting is in April. All right, let's move on to new business. I think that's why you gentlemen are here. This is a presentation on lithium-ion battery emergencies from Contra Costa Fire Protection District's Captain Paramedic Cody Clem.
Yeah. All right, do you guys mind if I stand?
Please.
All right, well, my name is Cody Clem and I care for the environment. As you would say.
George would be happy you said
He
that.
would. I wanted to throw that in there. He also said something about unintentional consequences, which I think is a huge part of why we're here, right? To learn about lithium-ion batteries. I think they're a great tool. We've used them for a long time and we're just now learning about the consequences as a whole. I have my bachelor's through Purdue University in emergency management, and part of that was risk analysis. And the unintentional consequences are everywhere. I remember hearing a story about a city who was having a lot of red light runners. So they said, hey, let's put up cameras at the red lights. We'll catch the red light runners. All that did was increase the vehicle accidents that they had at the lights, because everyone was slamming on their brakes trying to stop before the red light because they were getting a ticket. But now they're having pileups and backups behind them. So unintentional consequences, kind of what we're talking about here. So real quick, I want to introduce, I got my battalion chief of special operations, Dennis Buckles, and Hazmat program director, Chris Hummel here as well to answer any additional questions that I can. Like I was introduced, my name is Cody Clem. I'm a captain, paramedic, and hazmat specialist for Contra Costa County Fire. I have 19 years total in the fire service. 11 of those years have been here in the county. One of the founding members of our hazmat team for ConFire. Currently hold a seat on Fire Scope, which is for the hazmat committee. Fire Scope creates policies up and down the state for all fire entities. All right, so let's get into lithium-ion batteries. Yeah, so the presentation is just going to be a down and dirty introduction into lithium-ion batteries, what they are, how we use them, where we're seeing our problems currently, and what we're doing about it, and what we can do about it. Because I think there's a big expectation that the fire department comes to the scene, solves the problem, and then gets off the scene. With lithium-ion, we're not really able to do that in the way that we are if it's on just a regular house fire. So it's a little different. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to talk about some major incidents that we've had here in the county and all throughout the United States. Pretty close to us. There's some big ones that happened down in San Diego, LA, Arizona, and then as well as Moss Landing, just locally. So 2024 in February, the U.S. Fire Administration was called in front of Congress to speak on behalf of lithium-ion batteries and the emerging technology and the emergencies that were coming from them. So lithium-ion batteries have emerged as a power source of choice for a vast array of modern tools, mobility devices, from toothbrushes to smartphones, construction tools, medical devices, scooters, cars, you name it, it's there. It's everywhere. Okay, we can click through it. We probably have at least 20, maybe even more lithium-ion batteries here in this room right now. Every laptop, cell phone has lithium-ion batteries. They're everyday use, scooters, cars, your power tools at home, cell phones. You might not think of it, but even just those small Wyobis or Milwaukee batteries can hold even like 20 18650 lithium-ion batteries in them. So we see a lot, these are the Tesla walls, the power walls, many companies make them. Tesla is probably the most common. And then this is a large BESS or battery energy storage system is what we call it. We have one here in the county at Diablo off of Willow Pass. This type of facility is the same type of facility that caught on fire in Surprise, Arizona, which injured a bunch of firefighters. I'll talk about that later. This is not necessarily the same setup that's at Moss Landing or that was at Otay Mesa where it's enclosed. These are individual modules, which is a little bit better for everyone, I think. Thanks. So everyday use causes everyday problems. They're everywhere. So the first scene on the far left there was a residential structure fire in Walnut Creek that was started by a lithium-ion battery in a vacuum that was overcharged, started the garage on fire. The middle one is a double Tesla fire that was in Hunsaker Canyon last year. One on the right is in full thermal runaway. You can see what those flames look like. And then the one on the left burned out completely, but never went into thermal runaway. You don't ask why. I don't know. And then this top right corner is very sad. Confirmed at least one fatality. There's possible a second fatality in that fire, but 2 critically were injured. Those are all news stories that you can find if you just Google those fires. And that one, the top one was a Pittsburgh apartment fire. It was a lithium-ion battery scooter that was charging in the same room as the people as they slept. I'll show you video. You have 17 seconds from first pop to full room flashover with a micro mobility device. Next. So lithium-ion battery design. I don't know how much you guys know about lithium-ion batteries, so I'm just going to start from this, what it is. So there's 3 main designs, and it's going to be prismatic, pouch, and cylindrical. Your prismatic are going to be plastic. They could be metal cases, commonly found in cell phones and laptops. You have a pouch type, which is very flexible. You can move it. Military likes it because you can literally fold it up and put it into a backpack and then unpack it later. And then cylindrical is our most common. You're going to find those everywhere from vape pens to Tesla walls or Tesla vehicles. So they're all pretty much built the same. You have a liquid electrolyte that's flammable, that's inside there. You have a separator that could be graphite or a different type of material, and then different kinds of metals. And it works the same way that a regular battery does. It wants to like feed off of each other's separator. It keeps it all clean. But when that separator breaks down, we have problems. Prismatic cells are produced with capacities in various forms, different amp hours, from small like cell phones to massive to where they can actually go into vehicle applications. There's a lot of different manufacturers out there that are using prismatic type cells. Literally every maker out there has an EV on the road. So next, pouch cells. This is the flexible one that I told you that the military likes using. It's very lightweight. It doesn't have a actual a hard case or anything like that, so it's movable. It will expand and contract with when it's heated, and that's why the military kind of likes it. Cylindrical cells. So these are the different types, and it all goes by the size of it, the actual dimensions. So 18650 is our most common size, and it's just bigger than a AA battery, slightly smaller than like a 20 gauge shotgun shell. Cylindrical cells are commonly used in everything from vape pens, micromobility devices like scooters, bikes, all the way up to commercial buses, semi trucks, and massive storage systems. One little 18650 battery can produce 8 liters of toxic and flammable gas. So what does that mean? Well, a small electrical bike can have between 50 and 130 of these batteries. So when you times that by 8 liters, and if it's a lithium iron phosphate, it could be up to 20 liters of flammable gas. Some Tesla models have over 7,000 lithium ion batteries in them. Next. Chemical composition. So the chemistry for the lithium-ion batteries are numerous. The design is mostly the same, like I was saying earlier. You have a separator, the different metals, and then the electrolyte. The most common in use, there's 3 types. It's going to be the NMC, which is nickel, manganese, cobalt. The NCA, which is the nickel, cobalt, aluminum, and then the lithium iron phosphate, which is the you might have heard the safe lithium-ion battery. Next. So NMC currently stands out as the most dominant chemistry battery of choice right now. It's very reliable, has good life cycle, so a lot of companies like to use it. It's very light in weight, so e-bikes, power tools, and some EVs like to use that type of chemistry. Some common hazards that we have with that chemistry is it likes to reignite. We will put it out and then EPA says 3 days to 3 months later, this thing can just light up again. You don't know, and we don't know. But we do our best to put it out, and there's different ways that we monitor that. But they do give off flammable toxic gases, heavy metals, and they are very commonly off-brand or counterfeit. If it doesn't have a UL stamp, we don't recommend it, and they have a lot of problems that go along with that. What flammable and toxic gases am I talking about? The main ones are for your toxic gases are gonna be like hydrogen cyanide, hydrogen fluoride, methyl ethyl bad stuff. And then your flammable gases, the big ones that we're talking about are CO and hydrogen itself. Next. NCA is noted for the superior power density, low discharge, passive discharge. So that's why Tesla likes to use it. It takes a lot of energy, being able to store it, cycle it, store it, cycle it, store it over and over and over again with limited capacity. What am I trying to say? Limited capacity variant. So it doesn't, that's why if you own an EV for numerous years, you might go from 100 state of charge down to an 80 state of charge over the type of years. So how do they combat that? And they do it with this type of chemistry. The common hazards though for us are just like the previous one: reignition, flammable toxic gases, heavy metals, and then also the off-brand. So this is the big one that's kind of concerning because it's the safe lithium battery, the way that it's marketed. The lithium iron phosphate is considered the most thermally stable battery of the three chemistries. However, it has a lower energy density by volume. You can think of aluminum, heavy or light, light. Iron, heavy or light, heavy. So you won't really find these in many vehicles, but you will find them at our large facilities. The battery energy storage systems like Moss Landing, different areas will have lithium iron phosphate because they're heavy. It handles power more. They are safer in general. They do not like to go into thermal runaway. They are they're more thermally stable. However, when they go into thermal runaway, they produce a lot more energy and a lot more gases for us to deal with. So common hazards is flammable toxic gases again, off-brand counterfeit, and then a concern is that they'd be marketed as the safe lithium-ion battery. So here's just a generation, like a overview of what I just said for that. And so NMC batteries, the nickel, manganese, cobalt, generate larger specific off-gas volumes than other chemistries. Prismatic cells tend to generate a larger specific off-gas than other cells. And they think part of that is probably what it's being housed in. Prismatic, you get a lot of plastics that are the housing for it, whereas cylindrical is mainly metal. And so they think that's part of the reason why we're getting different, like the cyanides and stuff like that coming off the battery. Generally, a higher state of charge leads to greater specific gas volume. So a battery that's at 100 state of charge will be very violent in reaction and give off a lot more certain gases like hydrogen, whereas at a lower state of charge, it's still going to get off some gas. It's not going to be as explosive, but it could give off more HF. LFP shows greater toxicity than NMC. LFP is more toxic at a lower state of charge, which these batteries are supposed to be shipped anytime they're on the road at less than 30% state of charge. But that's also where we're seeing the most HF is at a low state of charge. So while NMC is more toxic at a higher state of charge. Lithium iron phosphate has a greater flammability hazard. And all this can be found right there at the document below. Next. So the 5 factors that lead to fire and explosion hazard, which is a problem for us as a fire department and as at the community at large, are gas flammability, propagation of thermal runaway, sources of ignition, confinement, and enclosure strength. And factors 1 and 3 are always present during thermal runaway. Anytime a battery goes into thermal runaway, we always have flammable gas that's emitted from that. And there's always going to be source of ignition because it's electricity. It has a way to reach out and touch us. It has a way to reach out and touch that battery. The flammable, the gas, the hydrogen, anything over around 300 degrees, it can actually auto ignite when it finds its actual ignition temperature as well. So how does it happen? This is thermal runaway. During normal operation, power goes into the battery, charges the battery. There is heat displacement there, but the battery management system, the BMS, is able to displace that heat. Now, when it's abused, it could be abused in a bunch of different ways. Overheating, crush, penetration, it could have a short, it could overcharge or have electrolyte leakage, which messes up the separator and starts this chain reaction that we have. So we do have a few systems here in the county. Yeah, I can move on, that's fine.
That's all right.
Yeah, a few different systems in the county. So this system right here is Diablo Energy Storage. It's off of Willow Pass in Pittsburgh. It's a 200 megawatt system. 1 megawatt is 1,000 kilowatts. And for just to throw it out there, about 1,000 kilowatts can run one home for about a month. So multiple smaller systems have been installed throughout the county. There's an 800 kilowatt system in Byron. There's multiple kilowatt systems inside schools, hospitals, and so on. Again, this system is set up like the picture that I showed previously, and like the Surprise, Arizona, where they're individual modules, around 2 megawatts per module. And a module is about the size of a sea train or a sea container, if you can imagine that. So what does it look like when one of those catch on fire? Well, Surprise, Arizona, 2019, there was a cascading thermal runaway in a 2 megawatt system. 9 first responders were sent to the hospital. 4 of those members, fire members, were seriously injured. Hazmat crews detected high levels of cyanide and carbon monoxide, bless you, above the lethal levels. So when we have high levels of cyanide and carbon monoxide, that's not really a bad thing for hazmaters. We know what to do. We're gonna ventilate. We're gonna ventilate the area. So these guys go in to open up the door, and there was an explosion. That explosion caused one firefighter to be thrown over 75 feet, another one over 30 feet. 4 members were unresponsive and had to be revived and then made recoveries in the hospital. So this is just, I just want you to pay attention to the power that one of these has when it explodes.
Blew the doors right off it.
Yeah, and that's a solid steel container right there. That's a
Turned it into blue.
yeah. All right. Is there volume on these?
I was gonna.
Kaboom.
Yeah, yeah. You can just go to the next one. Oh, we got an echo.
Well, they were opened by the ocean and we got the pressure out of that and we learned what kind of pressure developed to open those doors with explosion. It is important for you to understand the hazard that you are bringing into a facility so that you can keep your people safe.
All right, so home-built energy storage systems. So home-built energy storage systems. Recently, we've had a few of these incidents here in the county, 3 of them to be specific, 1 in Brentwood, Concord, and Pittsburgh.
So sorry.
You good? So these incidents have not been massive fires. They've been small garage fires that we've been able to contain. However, they do put our firefighters at risk, homeowners in the general area at risk. These are, as technology advances, it becomes more available for everyone to get. DIY power walls are gaining traction in the market. Complete packages are available on multiple websites. The picture here is literally just a copy and paste from Amazon. You can build your own right at home, no problem. We have had this exact setup just with more batteries, because why not put more batteries on it, right? If 2 are good, 7's better. We've had that exact setup in at least two different fires here in the county. So these systems do not come with adequate battery management systems, unlike a Tesla or Enphase type of wall. And this is what home built systems look like when they go bad.
Now, if these are installed properly, they should not be in the basement of a home. That's because if you have fire in the basement of the home, it can cause major issues. For example, this explosion that happened in Germany. This explosion happened in October of 2023, and you can see it did significant damage to the house. Now, this was a commercial unit. It did have LFP or lithium iron phosphate batteries. And what happens when lithium iron phosphate batteries fail is they emit significant amounts of hydrogen gas. Flammable gases. You build that gas up inside of a structure like this, you already have a heat source, and then
Maybe not that big.
have a massive explosion. There's a significant amount of damage to this building, and luckily nobody was killed when this incident happened, only minor injuries.
Okay.
Home built systems can be.
So that's a little bit of the home built system. Here's the actual Tesla walls or energy storage walls. We see these all over the county. Well, I'll just read through this real quick. UL approved power walls are really good for us. I mean, they don't like to go into thermal runaway when they are, especially Tesla for one has management systems that repeat back to Tesla corporate. They're able to shut off the battery. There's a bunch of different stuff that they do. And they're all UL tested. 2022, why do we have so many of these? Well, 2022, California became the first state to require builders to install solar and battery storage systems on commercial and high-rise buildings. And then in new residential, you have to have solar on your new residential home, and it has to have a battery hookup. You don't have to have a battery installed. However, the solar company is going to say, hey, you already have a hookup. Why not put a battery in it? California hasn't caught up to where we have a county ordinance or a state law that says these can only be placed on the outside of homes, but we're finding a lot of them inside the garages because they're kind of large. And a lot of people don't want them inside or outside because then they're kind of taking up wall space. They look kind of ugly, whatever it may be. But we are finding them in garages. Next. Okay, so the following are some videos of what it looks like when one of these catches on fire. As we go through a couple of these videos, I really want you to look at just a couple things here. This one is going to be on a train platform, and these batteries, when they explode and come out of the unit that they're contained in or going to thermal runaway, they can actually fly up to 100 feet away from where it started. So, and that's really what brought the fire department into, hey, what's burning here, is really in fire investigations. Because our investigators were going to these scenes where they had multiple different starts, which used to mean arson, but now it's lithium ion. We had a fire in Lafayette at a nail salon. It was lithium ion battery caused, and there was 6 different starts. It looked like arson until you found the little 18650 batteries at each one of those positions. So here is here's this video. I want you to watch how fast it goes and how explosive it goes.
Jesus.
So you can imagine, yeah.
I was hoping the mute on the keyboard would actually work.
So you can imagine this as from our point of view as a firefighter, if we get one of these fires in a wildland urban interface, we're gonna have multiple spot fires that are gonna grow that fire very fast. If you have it in a house, Think of all the plastics and synthetics that you have in your home, every piece of furniture, underneath beds, everything. So these fires can grow really fast, very rapidly. And heaven forbid one of these gets on BART, which is the next video. This was in Toronto, Canada.
Was this like a laptop or
This was a scooter.
a scooter?
The chaotic moments after a subway car caught fire in Toronto. Officials believe it was caused by a lithium-ion battery in an e-bike.
It scared me a lot because I'm also driving with e-bike.
Abdullah Halnaim makes his living riding around the city delivering food. Sometimes he has to take his bike on transit.
If it's so cold or if it's raining outside, so I can't go back home with my cycle, or sometimes my battery is like fully down, so there is no charge.
Last year, there were 55 fires related to lithium-ion batteries in Toronto, up from 29 in 2022. In June, 4 people died in New York in a fire at an e-bike store. And last week, a cargo ship caught fire near Alaska. It was shipping lithium-ion batteries from Vietnam to San Diego and burned for several days.
These batteries possess an incredible amount of stored energy as they sit there, and when they fail and they ignite, much of that battery is consumed in the process.
Toronto's fire chief says fires occur when people tamper with the original battery or use a refurbished one. It's also dangerous to use a cracked or damaged battery. New batteries can be expensive, but this e-bike delivery person says he isn't concerned.
I always follow the safety rules. I never drop my battery. If I have dropped one and it's cracked, I just replace it.
Experts say more talks are planned with Ottawa and industry stakeholders to come up with a strategy to deal with lithium-ion battery fires.
We're seeing a rise in battery fires, and the Canadian Fire Service, we have this much information on a problem that's this large.
There is no e-bike ban on the subway.
That's
The
good.
Toronto Transit Commission says it's examining.
So just to add on what he said, that's not just a Canadian fire problem about having this much information for a problem this big. We're really tackling it head on, but this is a new endeavor, a new problem that we are combating. So we're trying to still figure out ways that we can help mitigate this hazard. Then I did look into it. BART does have a e-bike ban, like you can't take e-bikes on BART. But you also aren't supposed to do illicit drugs on BART or do graffiti on BART, or, you know what I'm saying? If there's a will, there's a way, is all I'm saying. So,
Takes her e-bike on the train.
what's that?
I'm pretty sure my wife takes her e-bike on Amtrak.
Yeah. And luckily that the train in Toronto was at station when it went off. If one of these goes off mid-span on BART, you could theoretically lose a car, so. The next video is a incident that happened in Colorado. It was a EV Jeep that was on fire. The fire department got called out for a weird smell in the garage. The resident thought that her Jeep was on fire, but there was no real smoke, just a really light white smoke. But now we know that this white smoke, or Mickey Mouse smoke is what we know it as, or training smoke, is not training smoke. That's the hydrogen. That's the really flammable bad gases for us. There's no heat. So if we shine a thermal imaging camera in there, it won't show any different. And this is a video of a very close call.
What happened? Now, in early 2023, Mountain View fire rescuers responded to reports of a structure fire. They arrive on scene, they make entry into the house, and they've got smoke throughout the house. As they're doing their search, they work their way into the garage, a smaller garage off the side of the house. And what they find is a Jeep hybrid vehicle that has a little bit of fire in the back. While the crew of 3, they open the nozzle, they start putting out the fire like any crew would do, and there was an explosion. The garage door blew off the tracks, flying 30 feet through the air, nearly taking the head off this captain here, knocks his helmet to the ground. very fortunate instance and nobody was injured in that explosion. The crew inside or the captain outside in the driveway. But this is a real possibility.
All right, that's good.
And this is something UL.
Is that our Mountain View or just another Mountain View?
No, that's Colorado. But something there that I teach my firefighters is where was all the signs that was gonna happen? There's no smoke coming from the garage, there's no, and then even after the explosion, there's no smoke afterwards either. The following videos are what happens in residential homes. And this is a good video of from pop to flash over. So we'll play this one here.
What was that?
That's it. That was a scooter, micromobility device that has between 50 and 130 batteries in it. The next one is probably a bike because the amount of fire that comes off of it probably has more batteries. But this is where a family is upstairs sleeping and this is downstairs charging.
Are bikes notorious for not having BMSs on them?
No, they will if they're UL tested. If they're UL tested, it's a decent product. But it doesn't mean that the actual product was faulty in the beginning. But if a kid or even a grown-up takes this off-road or off a jump and there's a crack in the battery, there's any wear, excessive damage, you can easily break that separator. And so on your next charge, you can expect something like this to happen.
So is it that damage that is the primary root cause of most of these fires, the damage to the battery, not a fully fine battery?
Right, so it's either overcharging, it's poorly manufactured, which is that cause for that separator to dissolve or be too thin. And then overcharging and then actual structural damage. So it gets dropped, punctured, overheats, even just cell phones sitting in the top of your dash during the summer can also cause your cell phone to catch fire. Again, just look at how fast this happens. Smoke detectors are just now going off.
Where's the camera relation to the explosion, or is it just entirely filled with flame?
I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't know. But it does,
It's fast.
yeah,
It's
it
really
does show
fast.
you how fast that the batteries go from, I'm just a fine battery to, hey, I wanna
Burn your house
change your
down.
day really fast. This is, so just in reference, those are kind of bigger batteries, micromobilities between 30 and 130, or sorry, 50 and 130. This is a smaller battery, and we can just watch the first few seconds of this.
How does this pickup truck go from looking like this to this? And how is a lithium ion battery involved? In the fire service, we respond to a lot of vehicle fires, but it's very rare that we know exactly what caused that fire. In this case, we got security footage. Gives a great indication of what happened here. Now in this clip, you'll see the truck just sitting there in the parking lot, not doing a lot. But eventually you're gonna see a telltale sign the lithium ion battery is involved. That's it right there.
Enough smoke.
It's full of smoke.
Just
Being
white
shot
smoke.
out of the vehicle. You can kind of see flame up into the bed of the truck right there. And that's a significant amount of smoke coming out of that vehicle. Now this video comes compliments of the Saginaw
All right, that's good.
Department. And
Remember that one 18650 battery can do 8 liters of toxic gas and toxic flammable gas. So you can imagine it could be a larger size Milwaukee or style battery. So you have 8 to 12 of those batteries in there. So you're looking at, you know, a couple hundred liters of gas there. Yeah, so fires involving lithium ion batteries are not normal fires. We treat them as hazmat incidents. There are things that we can utilize right now and that we are utilizing as departments, not only just our standard operating procedures that we've developed, but the DOT has the emergency response guide, and that's gonna hold us accountable to at a federal level. And that's gonna be the emergency response guide 147, lithium ion batteries. Now, this is a huge change because if you look at an ERG, or if you know what the ERG is, it's filled with chemicals, individual chemicals based on the UL number, the UN number, or the actual alphabetical listing in there, but it's just chemicals. Lithium ion batteries is one of the only things that's in the ERG to be shipped. So lithium ion batteries is a concern for us, it's a concern for the DOT for shipping, and that's why it has its own guide page. The flammable liquids inside of it can off gas, and they start to auto ignite around 302 degrees. If the batteries are involved in fire, guide 147 tells us to go to guide 125, which is for highly toxic and corrosive gas, and that's hydrogen fluoride, which hydrogen fluoride has a 3 parts per million IDLH, which is very, very small. So we take it very serious. Next. So Confire's response. So our response, it's gonna develop and expand according to the severity, but also according to the information that we get from the caller. So often we get dispatched to a vehicle fire, and then we don't find out that it's an EV fire until we get on scene, based on dispatching questions or information that the caller is able to tell us, especially if it's not their vehicle, or it's a rental, or whatever it may be. And then as fire units arrive on scene, we can expand that response. Confire's Hazmat materials response team will be deployed to handle the fires involving lithium ion batteries. And that's, we can provide neutralization for smaller battery types like e-bikes, micromobility, backpack, like the laptops, computers, cell phones, and et cetera. We also do a lot of gas detection, and we can do air monitoring and surveillance with our drone capabilities. The methods of suppression for us will differ based on our risk assessment. We have a risk assessment in Confire, and it's throughout the nation, but ours is, we're gonna risk a lot to save a savable life. We're gonna risk a little to save savable property, and then we're gonna risk nothing to save lives and property that are already lost. In some of these incidents, we are that life that comes into that incident. If the civilians have already evacuated the area, we are that life problem that we bring to the scene, and then we're gonna utilize our risk assessment to say, is this a fire that we need to fight, or is this a fire that we can let burn, and then the problem and the product goes away? Next. So here's some major incidents that we've had that kind of brought us to where we are today and what procedures we do. So Otay Mesa was an incident that happened last year in May down in San Diego County. This facility burned for over a week. The cleanup is still ongoing. It's supposed to be expected to be finished by the end of 2025. The EPA was called in for air monitoring and air surveillance, as well as water monitoring operations to see if any of the runoff contained heavy metals and et cetera. This site is talked about at our last fire scope meeting as it might become a Superfund site. Means nothing else gets built on it. The Fed's gonna pay for cleanup. It's a big, big mess. Next. This is the Seaside incident. The Seaside incident is an individual BESS system that exploded on the roadway. This fell off a truck that was in transit between the Port of Los Angeles and its final destination. It shut down the major freeway between the port and other freeways for 48 hours. This incident was so big that the White House called Los Angeles Fire and said, hey, when can we get this thing opened up again? It caused over $900 million in lost damages to the port. The EPA was again utilized for air monitoring and surveillance. This fire sent 6 firefighters to the hospital. All of them were inhalation injuries and lung damage. 2 of them were hospitalized they're all now back to work. But it's interesting that the 2 that were hospitalized because they didn't go to the hospital until the day after. They worked an extra day of overtime. The next day were in their turnouts, the same ones that they wore on this incident. And they believe that the off-gassing continued through the next day while they're in their turnouts, and it actually damaged their lungs even more than the following day.
And were they wearing the oxygen stuff?
Yep.
So even
HF,
with that, they got.
yeah, so HF is, our structure fire ensemble does not provide any protection to HF. Very limited to toxic gases in general.
You need SCBA's for that.
So this is actual footage from that incident. And you can see the force of that thing.
There is now a 1,000-foot buffer zone around this fire because of the concern of combustibility. Those lithium-ion batteries are very flammable, and that container there on its side is in a very precarious position.
Next. So this is Moss Landing. Happened here in Monterey County, right down the road from us. It was a PG&E energy storage facility. This is not the first time that the facility is actually caught on fire. It caught on fire multiple times before, previously in 21 and 22. This fire evacuated 1,700 people. The EPA was called in again for air monitoring and surveillance. The initial concern is of HF because it's our most deadly chemical that comes from this. And so initial plume modeling is often based on that. However, actual incidents has shown that HF isn't flying as far as we thought it would. However, what the plume modeling has shown is that the heavy metals from these fires are carrying in the plume and they're carrying farther. So we're actually moving towards a particulate matter for monitoring and following the plume in that kind of aspect. So TEAX is out of Texas A&M. It's the engineering extension. The department actually sent me to Texas earlier this year in January, so I could go through the lithium ion symposium there. That was the second conference that I went to. I also went back to outside of Chicago for another conference before that. But Texas A&M, they went into a study with Southwest Institute, and they measured what actually is coming off of these batteries and how it affects firefighters and the turnouts that we wear. So these tests actually measured out 24 heavy metals and 75 SVOCs, or semi-volatile organic compounds, from these battery fires. There was high concentrations of lithium, nickel, cobalt, manganese, and copper. That varied based on what the actual chemistry composition of the battery was. Because if the battery's not, or if the metal's not there, the battery's not gonna have it when it catches on fire. What it showed was that the SVOCs, the volatile organic compounds, remained in our gear after our standard water-based cleaning operations that we use on our turnouts. As firefighters, we all anticipate that our fire gear is gonna be dirty after fires. We throw it in a turnout extractor, we think it's gonna be cleaned, and we take it out. Well, UL standard for extracting firefighter gear is only 50%. And that's a weighted average, so you can have 0% of one compound that got removed and 100% another, and now it's 50%, it passed. But that 0% compound could be the worst thing for our bodies, and we all know that cancer is one of the leading causes of deaths for firefighters in line of duty. We actually just lost a guy just over a year ago, John Martinez. So this really hits home for us. So what did it find? So SVOCs remained in the gear after water-based cleaning, with efficiencies ranging from 21% to 92%. It also showed that between 12,000 and 17,000 times above the EPA standard for emissions based on metallic particles were found in the gear as well. So 17,000 times the amount that's supposed to be there is what was in those turnouts. CO2, liquid CO2 cleaning is the way of the future. It's very expensive, but it's very good for us. So hopefully in the future we can try to move that way as long as funding's available. And next slide.
There are more and more batteries in our environment every day. It's just not our cell phones and our laptops, but now we have the scooters, the e-bikes, the micro-mobility devices, the battery electric vehicles. About a year ago, Teeks realized that there was a problem with lithium-ion batteries and how the first responders interacted with these types of emergencies. The chemistry is what we have to be very, very aware of, especially some of the heavy metals, because those are lifetime exposures. So Teeks decided to partner with the Southwest Research Institute of San Antonio, Texas. We forced lithium-ion batteries in a thermal runaway via overcharge. In each one of these tests, we exposed 6 sets of full-thickness bunker gear, firefighter self-contained breathing apparatus straps, also apparatus fabrics, both clean cab and traditional cab. We measured in these different battery thermal runaways 12,000 to 17,000 times EPA's allowable threshold for metallic particles that were transferred from the battery into the gear. One of the test sets, we measured contamination post-thermal runaway. One of the other sample sets, we actually sent the gear out for cleaning. So we did traditional water-based NFPA 1851 cleaning. The third sample set, we sent the gear to a facility and we did liquid CO2 cleaning with that gear. So you got a good look at how contaminated is contaminated, and then how clean both water-based and how clean liquid CO2 cleaning got the gear. Water-based extraction got out about 99.2% of all the metallic particles in the gear. Liquid CO2 cleaning got out more of the metals than water-based was. So it was around 99.8%, which is a very, very high efficiency rating. The 50 cylindrical cells that were contained in our batteries had a lot of energy. Once these batteries were forced into thermal runaway, the batteries gave up of their cells. There was typically somewhere 50% or less of the battery remaining by weight. What happened to the battery? Well, a lot of the battery becomes airborne, particulate matter. If you have one of these thermal runaway events, you're going to be left with less battery and more contaminants wanting to be transferred downhill and downwind. So it's really important to the first responder community. We want to make sure that everybody goes into the response with the knowledge, with the training, and with safety in mind. It is our hope that when people read the report that Teeks did, they can take back to their home departments and really consider and craft their standard operating procedures, standard operating guides. This is just a new emerging hazard that we need to be aware of. Teeks is hosting our second annual Energy Summit in College Station, Texas, January the 7th and the 9th of 2025. We're bringing some of the best.
Awesome. So just to wrap up, so this was just an introduction of some of the hazards, what the batteries are, and how we're kind of combating them. Our policies are evolving. We have actually 3 worksheets based on the different types of batteries we're going to find, not the chemistry, but the size of them. So they range from the BESS, the big battery management systems, to the lithium ion, there's just a small little micro mobility devices and EVs. The fire service is still very much in the research and development phase when it comes to lithium ion batteries. And that was stated by the fire administrator, US fire administrator in front of Congress last year. So when we're saying we are combating this as fast and efficiently as possible, even here in the county, at the federal level, even last year, we were not where we are today. And that's how fast this stuff's evolving. We're attempting to get out in front of this, but this is a problem where industry is expanding way faster than we are keeping up with it. Any questions?
I've got 2 questions. And we have a commissioner, Tim Bottoms, who's I know is familiar with a lot of the NFPA criteria. So my first question is, why can't and I know nothing of technology, but could a lithium battery of any of the 3 styles be fitted with a smoke alarm type chip sensor that if it started off gassing above a certain limit and perhaps fire was imminent or possibly imminent. It was a warning to save lives where people could get out of the way of the fire. And the second question is with regard to protection of the firefighters with your turnout gear, wouldn't it be better, since the number of fires right now is relatively minimum, if there's that much uncertainty and exposure about cleaning, to just dispose of those and get into new gear? So the unknowing issue of am I in gear that's partially contaminated or not contaminated? I know it's an expense to a department, but at the same time, so is losing a lung or a life or functionality of your body. And I would just think that, and then you don't have also the wastewater issues from the cleaning going into a wastewater treatment facility, and who knows what happens then.
Yeah.
You know, so why not just dispose of, when you're in that type of environment, the turnout gear straight into a bag and gone, and you don new gear, where under a normal fire or non-battery fire, you know the constituents and you're able to better protect yourself for the next use.
Yeah, those are great questions. To start with question number one, the battery management systems that are in some of these batteries are amazing. I don't know all the ins and outs. I know that we got a tour of the in-phase facility, and they have microinverters in there that are kill as soon as they have a surcharge, and a bunch of different systems that go involve those. The Diablo storage facility and various other facilities have built-in extinguishing agents that are supposed to put out that fire. A lot of them don't. They're not adequate for the amount of heat, and again, they're still trying to catch up to themselves. There's some that have, when they start to off gas and start vent, they have auto igniters on top of the containers, so it immediately lights off the gas, and it's supposed to burn it off, so that way you don't have a flammable or explosive atmosphere. So those are out there, and that's where you have to, I think we need to push the UL testing, make sure that they're certified products and that we allow our public to have. The second part of that is I agree with you that it is a concern. I would say that it's not if our turnouts are going to be exposed, because the TEACS study shows that they are exposed. Even if it was 5,000 times greater than the permissible exposure limit, well, it's 17,000 times, right? 3 parts per million for HF. Some of the SVOCs aren't even able to be taken off with any cleaning. There are departments in the United States that throw away their turnouts afterwards. We're not going to do that. We're not in that position right now. Turnout sets are around $5,000 a set, at minimum around $5,000 a set. Every firefighter in Contra Costa County that works for Con Fire has 2 sets of turnouts. So when we go to a fire, those turnouts are supposed to be immediately extracted into a water extractor. They get washed, laundered, and then within the next day or so, depending on the weather, if it's dry or not, we can get those back. And then we put our second set on for any additional fires that we have. Now, the UL testing to get the NFPA 1851 certification is only a 50% minimum passing rate. And so even though we are extracting it, it doesn't have to be for a lithium-ion battery, but those SVOCs that are staying in our turnouts, even at a regular structure fire, are still there. The big thing in the last year was the PFAS, and the foam. And that was like, hey, why is this stuff here? Well, it's been here for a long time. And maybe that's a reason. And with all of the other VOCs that are still stuck in our turnouts, maybe that's a reason that we're getting cancer greater than the general public. Obviously, I can't answer that alone, but there is different technology out there. The CO2 extraction systems, they wash 5 sets of turnouts at a time for one system. There's no dry time because it's CO2. It automatically cleans it, comes out within an hour, completely dry. Our firefighters can put it right back on. There is companies out there that we can get it laundered through, but it takes about 2 weeks to send off a set of turnouts and get them back, because those companies are all out east. They are ETD, Emergency Technical Decon, is building one of those warehouses in Oregon, but again, it's still gonna take shipment time. ETDs who we have been contacting about the possibility of trying to bring a system here in Contra Costa. But again, they're around $1 million for a machine with infrastructure. So about $680,000 for a machine.
Expensive washing machine.
It is, and then I would say, it's really expensive, but if you look at work comp, if you look at how much cancer treatment costs, and if you look at how much, pain and suffering it takes to put a guy's name on the wall, it's worth it, so.
Can I get onto that answer?
Yeah.
So just to add on to the answer that Cody already answered, the intent of our policies and procedures are is to keep our people away from the smoke. That's why we put it as a hazardous material response. And it's our monitors, and I know county health monitors too, have specialty sensors where we can check for cyanide, we could check for HF. And sure enough, we are getting those hits on our calls. And you see places on the news like Las Vegas, for example, where they had the Tesla fire at the dealership. Makes me cringe to see all those firefighters standing in the smoke. And you can see how far behind some of the other countries and departments are compared to like where we're at with Cody's development from this. So it's more of educational piece to keep our people out of it and keep them safe that way too.
I was gonna say that a house costs $1 million nowadays. So it sounds like a lot of money, but I think it's worth the investment for that. And then the other thing I was gonna say was offhand, I mean, I feel more educated. I feel like I could use, I have a lot of questions. I'm gonna take time for that, but as far as the public in Contra Costa, how many people have this level of awareness now that we have? What would you say?
I don't even wanna speculate.
How many times have you given the talk?
Twice today. So I give it to all of our recruits in our fire academies as of 2 years ago gets this presentation. And then at the end of it, we go through our policies and actually those 3 worksheets, what we do, hazmat operations, how we brine and do those kinds of things. And then the general public at large, they see Moss Landing and they see that stuff and I read an article just last week, it was Moss Landing, the 3-mile island of its time. Well, there's some point to that. I mean, if you look at 3-Mile Island, did it, I don't even know if it killed anyone, 3-Mile Island. Yeah. But it's still talked about as like the biggest natural disaster. Well, in 2022, New York City lost over 200 people to lithium-ion battery fires. We lost 2 last year here in Contra. So, I mean, if you look at different, it's all weighted average, so, yeah.
What's the liability of the people who are selling ones that are not UL certified? And why is there not policy to restrict their ability to be able to be sold by retailers? I mean, even Amazon, they're under restrictions of various things that they can and cannot sell. So like, what policy is there, I guess, to prevent these off-brand or whatever batteries that are so dangerous from entering into the common commerce?
So I'd refer you to New York City has done a great job with really regulating what type of batteries are going to be sold in their city. And they've actually taken it upon themselves to come out with their individual laws and regulations that they want. I don't know how they're worded, but I do know that there is wording in there with UL testing being a part of the batteries that you can sell, and businesses would, be fined or shut down until they not sell those type of batteries. But then like on Amazon or online, people can get shipped stuff all the time. So I think it's really hard to regulate.
Do we have any of those sort of restrictions here in the county?
I'm not able to answer that.
Do you know?
I know New York City or somewhere on the east, won't allow you to put e-bikes and scooters in high-rise buildings. You can't take them up to the top apartments. They have a ground level floor or somewhere you have to store it. Not sure if that's a rule in Contra Costa County yet.
Yeah, not that I know of. And I would actually say I'd rather have all the scooters and everything on the top floor, because smoke's gonna rise. And so that after that one clip where it said 4 people died in an EV bike store, well, just after that, there was 14 that died in a mid-rise because of an EV fire. So the smoke's rising, it's trapping people on the upper floors, and that is where we can see it. Mid-rises, where they're getting built now, you can have batteries on top of the roofs or in enclosures off to the side of the building. But again, unintended consequences, like George was saying earlier, that's what we're dealt with. The state has said you will have these batteries in these types of buildings. There's consequences to that.
Sorry, one more question. And then, is there any licensing to be able to sell those sorts of battery?
I'm sorry, I don't know that.
Okay.
I apologize.
Cody, do you know, what are you guys doing with the smoldering battery waste from these fires?
Great question. So as of right now, for residential, what our role is, I'll take it from small and then go bigger. So for a micro mobility device like a scooter, bike, laptop, anything like that, we'll brine it. It's just a saltwater solution. We have buckets ranging from 5-gallon all the way to 50-gallon drums that we can create brine in. We throw the batteries in there. We keep the lid off because that brine solution actually makes it off-gas some hydrogen. And we'll stick that in a area that's secluded on property for the resident, either in the garage or not in the garage, sorry, in the backyard, usually out of anyone's way. Tell the homeowner, don't go in there, don't drink the water, that kind of thing. And then at the end of our 4-day, because we work 2 days on, 4 days off on our schedule. At the end of that 4-day, we're gonna come back and work with our gas monitors and make sure it's not off-gassing anymore. At that time, we'll seal it. We can put the battery or the lid on the container, and we tell the homeowner to take it to household waste. For right now, that's where we're telling them to go until household waste shuts us down and says, we don't want the DDRs, the damaged, destroyed, recycled batteries. That's their avenue. There are a couple different companies. I believe Recycle to You is one of those companies that sticks out in my mind that's on our sheet of people to call or that they could call. That's also who we advise business owners to call, because we won't take it off property. We don't want the business owner has to handle that by themselves. These batteries are very expensive to get rid of, but right now it's household waste, and then I believe it's Recycle to You is the other company that they can call. For large incidents, there are contractors that those companies employ to come pick up those batteries. So, and that ranges from everything from the Diablo site to Tesla Powerwalls themselves. We had a residential Powerwall catch on fire in Walnut Creek just 2 weeks ago. And Tesla has emergency response vehicles. One of only 4 in the state is actually in Martinez. And we were able to call them up from their emergency line. Within 45 minutes, they showed up with their trailer. Their technician pulls the battery off the wall. It goes into a brine solution, and then they take it off site. What they do with it after that, I don't know. I would venture to say it goes to Nevada, where the largest lithium-ion battery recycling site is. And they have at least 5 fires a day in that recycling site. Very small, but when you deal with damaged recycled batteries, that's what's going to happen. And that's why we're seeing very limited people who want to take them. That also goes back to our tow truck companies in the county. We had that double Tesla fire that was in Hunsaker Canyon. We went through 6 tow truck companies before we found one to take them, because state law says that you have to have 50 feet of clearance around each of your EV vehicles. So if you've ever been to a tow truck company or seen their yard, I've seen very few that have 50 feet of clearance, like none. So that's also a concern for us as a fire department for exposures of other vehicles and bigger fires in the future. Does that answer?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
How do you handle a burned Tesla, like a car?
Car accident.
Yeah,
Normal thing,
a large.
Yeah. So
What do you do with that carcass?
yeah, so ICE vehicles, the internal combustion engines, all over the place. We get fires in those all the time, right? I'll tell you 60% of all EV fires actually don't involve the batteries. They never do. That one video where it had a blue Tesla on fire, where the fire was inside the compartment, that was not a battery fire. That's just a Tesla on fire. Now, if you see the flames shooting out, so down and out is what we call it. Down and out burning is battery involvement. The batteries are held at the bottom, that's gonna burn through the aluminum casing that the batteries are held in, and that's where your flame impingement is gonna come from. If it's burning up and in, we're gonna attack it like normal and use extinguishing agents. Foam is not recommended on battery type fires, but we're gonna attack them like a normal vehicle fire. To get them off-site, we're gonna use a tow truck company that has a flatbed. If you can't use any other type, it has to be a flatbed because you can have the regeneration if the tires are dragging on the ground. And when you lift up that battery, the carcass will have smaller 18650 batteries that fall out from underneath it. It's gonna be our responsibility to try to get those batteries utilizing shovels or other pickup tools other than our hands, even gloved hands. And we're gonna put those batteries back in the vehicle, so that way they still belong to the vehicle. We've had this where Tesla has had a vehicle on fire, the batteries had fallen out, they got left there. We called Tesla and be like, hey, you need to come get these batteries. Like, they're not ours. So as long as they're in the vehicle, they're in the vehicle and they're theirs. So that's gonna be one of our things that we tell our crews to make sure that they're all in there.
Do you brine the whole vehicle then?
Nope. That's why they keep it 50 feet out from any other vehicle. There are, like, Arizona digs holes, they put sand, they put it in there and fill it with sand. Arizona's a desert, they can do that. We can't really do that here. There is companies out there that make C-trains that you drive the car in or you pull the car in via hoist and then it fills with water and it just stays there. The problem is that if you looked at like Hurricane, what was the last one in Florida, Hillary? They had months later EVs on the side of the road that were flood damage, just immediately, like just spontaneously catch on fire. So you don't know, like even if you, that was salt water. So even when you brine them like that, you don't know if they're gonna off gas once they dry out again. So the way that we do it is we brine it, we make sure there's no off gassing on top, and then we give it to the recycling company to deal with it. And they'll fully check both sides. If the battery's still intact, they'll check to see if there's any voltage in there. We have a DC tack stick for direct current that will actually tell us if there's any energy still in there. It won't tell us how much energy, but it will go off if there is. And it's very sensitive. Even like if I just wrinkle up like a plastic bag or something like that, it will send the monitor off. So it's pretty sensitive.
So I have a feeling we could ask questions for the next hour here, but we can't because we're gonna run out of time for the rest of our meeting. This has been fascinating and scary at the same time. It's amazing, but we really appreciate you guys coming in and sharing this information. If there's just, the big thing is there any way, ideally, you'd be able to have everybody in the county see this and get a better understanding as to, because I learned so much today on this. And I don't know what the education process is for the county.
Is there any recording of this?
There is, I don't know if this is recorded or not, but
It's recorded and it will be posted on the county's calendar for all meetings. We can also, the PowerPoint itself, we can include it to the Hazmat Commission page.
Yeah, and the only concern there would be the average citizen, whoever that might be, is not gonna look through this, 45 slides. And so I don't know if there's a way to put a condensed version together.
So the FSRI, Fire Safety Research Institute, has done a great job with getting the word out there to civilians. And they actually have a whole civilian webpage that you could go to. Pardon me, let me look it up. Can you go to it real quick, the FSRI batteries?
We can put that on our website.
Can we share that?
Yeah, I'll share it and put it up, and you guys can put it up on your website. It's great information. They have really good videos for the general public. There's actually a safe mnemonic that they came up with, or charge, I believe is what it's called. And because batteries charge, but it brings up that mnemonic for them to follow and talks about that stuff. So
That one look right?
yeah, that's the.
I would see well.
Yeah, I'm not so sure how long those two e-bikes in the back room of my office are gonna be there.
I think, so I don't know, this is my first time, I'm super excited to be here and to tell you guys about this stuff. I don't know how in depth or what you guys present later on after this. But some of these things can be helped with regulation. So if, and even at a county level, if we said that, you know, the energy storage systems for residents can't be put in garages, they have to be on the exterior buildings. That immediately takes off explosive potential for our guys, right there. If we have anyone who wants to put a EV charger inside a parking garage that's below grade, they have to have an EV blanket installed within 15 feet of it. That allows us to put an EV blanket on it to buy time so we can remove the other vehicles around it. So we don't have a massive fire like they had in Korea where they actually had parking garage collapse. And so there is things like on a regulatory level that you can provide. Like I said, trying to find funding to you know, to promote more education, CO2 extraction for our turnouts. And then just getting the word out to the general public is things that we could use help with.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I've got one, I don't want to kill us with questions here, but just to narrow things down from a policy perspective, it seems that small batteries like in a cell phone or maybe even a laptop really aren't your concerns. It's scooters and above. Is that kind of what we're looking at here?
Yeah, and the larger the battery, the more power. Yeah, the more energy that it can give off.
So I'm just sort of thinking from a policy perspective, if we were to address batteries, where's the magic cutoff? You know, I mean, what from your experience, it seems based on what we've seen is the capacities starting with like e-scooters and above is where as a county would begin to get a little bit concerned. What somebody does with a vape pen,
right?
We don't care.
But the only thing I would add to that though is like the drill batteries, you know, we saw that example and not to belabor this whole thing, but in my court, one of the houses, they had one of the kids' Jeep, you know, the little kids' Jeep that they run around with the battery about that size. And well, there was a fire in the garage and the firefighter said it was an overcharged battery. And I mean, those things are all over and people keep them plugged in all the time. And as far as I know, and I asked the firefighter, I said, why don't the manufacturers put an auto shut off on the charger? Once it's fully charged, it doesn't, you know, it shuts it off. But he said, well, that's part of the regulation.
It sounds like the good ones probably do have that, but the one you buy off of T might not.
Yeah.
Well, I know like golf carts with the lithium batteries, the batteries have a charge and then the management system shuts the charger off and it stays off.
Yeah, and this isn't like I hope obviously it is very enlightening. But I also love things with lithium-ion batteries in it. Like my truck is half electric. My phone is awesome. My e-bike at home is great. But I also use this information to make sure that I'm home when I charge my e-bike and it comes unplugged as soon as I do that. I try to store it, you know, in my garage. Yeah, all that kind of thing. Not in a passive egress, not in my house. You know, those are all things that we can push out to the public. And we have before, even on Confire's page, on our Instagrams and Facebook. So, but as a county, that could be something through FSRI that's approached and pushed up.
Can I ask one more real quick question?
We can do this all day.
And what you're saying, if you're in an underground situation or a concrete type situation like a garage, and you have multiple cars, golf carts, whatever, is a strong air venting system a good deterrent to not necessarily the fire, but at least it keeps the off-gassing from becoming a source?
So it's definitely gonna help, and those are automatic, like with a lot of the fire protection systems.
Okay.
There are numerous parking garages around the county that have those automatic fans that kick in, the evacuation fans. And those are great ventilation tools for us. And it's all gonna differ, but we carry different levels of fans, even on all of our trucks, rescues, where we can help move around air as well.
But it's always one of those unexpected things. If we get a vehicle fire, whether it's, you know, standard or an electric car especially below grade in a parking structure, it's an issue because of the amount of smoke it creates. And those usually aren't the best ventilated areas. You know, you've got lower clearance overhead, so it fills up the space faster. And so it's tedious to deal with it, and just getting to it, figuring out where it is because of visibility and able to get hose down there, it's cumbersome. Yeah, so those are all things to,
We're looking at uses of deploying EV fire or blankets that go over the car fires that will buy us time, especially like in people's homes or in parking garages like that, where it will cut down the fire and smoke production, buy us time to have a game plan.
Like some people have in their kitchens, a
So it seems
smaller,
like, yeah,
bigger version of that.
Yeah.
or something you'd want like with your fire extinguisher.
Yeah, right.
And those are costs. They're for a disposable one's 5,000, for a reusable one, which I don't know why you want a reusable fire blanket, it's about 15,000. So
Jeez,
there's a big cost
5,000.
involved in that, so.
Wow.
Okay, well, this was fascinating. Thank you, Cody. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Guys.
Yeah.
Put yourself in there.
Move to approve the minutes.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jim. Do I have a second on the minutes?
Second.
Okay, well, we have to go around the room. Brianna? Thank you.
Motion was Jim, second was Eduardo, Fred,
Aye.
and Mark,
Yes?
Drew,
Yes.
Eduardo,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Jamin,
Yes.
and then Lou Jamin is here, so unfortunately you do not get to vote. Tim Bancroft
Aye.
and Jim.
Yes.
Beautiful, motion passes.
Great. Thank you all. All right, that brings us to, unless I'm missing something, item eight, thank you. Okay, so this is an item we discussed briefly last meeting and said we would bring it back this meeting. Now this says to discuss, is this an action item or is this just continued discussion item?
Just to continue discuss, I know Nick had sent out that letter that I shared with everyone.
Right.
And there was just some discussion about maybe drafting a letter to make a recommendation. Just thought maybe kind of touch on that again.
Okay.
There was a problem about timing, wasn't there? We couldn't get it there in time or something too.
We still don't know when it's gonna be there.
Oh, okay. I remember that was a problem. We had to-
Yeah, we heard that it could be as early as April.
There was, Jim, were you going to work with staff on drafting that letter?
Nick was going to, but then Nick had an unfortunate situation of finding he had stage 3 colon cancer. So he has been out and we've been swimming, so I can take that over, but I hadn't, he was gonna do it. But I can, I guess.
Okay, so what is it, so you brought this forward, what is it that you're asking from the commission then?
We're just asking for the commission to oppose changes. At the lawsuit.
Okay.
That's all.
I thought we were gonna send
It's in a letter, and basically.
your letter to the county saying, we agree with this.
Yeah.
What do you
basically,
think?
Yeah,
It's kind of, then what our discussion was, how do we say that? How do we do that?
Right,
And there
right,
was controversy of, do we just send it and say, yes, we agree with the USW, please endorse this county? And then some say yay, some say no. Okay, well, do we write our own cover letter? If I remember correctly, please correct me. And we say, hey, we are in agreement with this, but not unanimous?
Right, right.
Or yes, we
No,
are
I think that's
unanimous
accurate.
in this and it needs to, and Board of Supervisors, do we recommend a course of action the Board of Supervisors takes? Because usually that's what our committee does. Or do we just bring it to the County Board of Supervisors' attention?
Okay.
That was my notes from what our options were.
I think you're right, Tim. So let me just start by saying, because I read through all the information in the letter from the USW. Couple concerns I had. One was, and I'm not doubting anything from the steelworkers, but that's one side of the story. We don't have Cal OSHA's side of the story. We're not sure, it says in there that they were forced to sign. I don't think Cal OSHA is forced to do anything. They're not gonna do something that's gonna decrease safety. But anyway,
well, yes, they are.
so that's the one issue. The one issue is that we don't have their side of the story. So it's hard to say, yeah, I agree with this side or that side. The other is, I'm not sure. I'm just throwing this out, thinking out loud. I'm not sure the commission should be getting in between a legal issue. This is a legal issue right now with OSHA Standards Board. I don't know if we should be inserting ourselves into that or not. I just.
Well, that's where I think kind of where we left it off was, instead of going to the board and saying, we want an action item, like, because usually that's what we do. We say, Board of County Supervisors, the Hazardous Materials Commission, respectfully request that you draft an ordinance. You make a decree. Instead, it would be, I think this is where we left it. Go to the County Board of Supervisors and we would ask them, are you aware of this action taking place? Because then it gets on the calendar, it gets in a meeting minute, and it gets read. And that eliminated the back and forth of how do we say it? What are we gonna really ask them to do? Is it a political issue and not a county hazardous materials issue? Where does it, and that was kind of where we were all discussing that ran out of time.
I think you heard the discussion from Michael, that they're in agreement with us that it is going to take the regulation backwards. It's gonna take the effectiveness of the safety ordinance that we had, or the safety.
The RSO?
Well, no, not the ISO, but
ISO, sorry.
the safety provisions in that law.
And
It's gonna take it back.
OSHA, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna take it back.
And specifically, which of the things in the settlement do you think takes it backwards? Which items?
Well, one of the things, and again, with the employee participation, we only really had an issue with one employer with that. We were working well with most employers over that issue. In fact, we were working well with all of them for 2 years before WISPA decided to file the lawsuit. So it wasn't like something that right off the bat, I mean, when we developed it in the first place, it was developed with industry. We all worked together to develop it. And then of course, anytime we talk to industry, so that's WISPA, that's not us. Well, come on. But that being said, the changes will make it less safe.
But
You don't-
which of the changes make it less safe? So I've read the lawsuit, I read the settlement, and a lot of it just looks like administrative, like clarification of languages. I didn't see where there was any reduction in practice or safety in the lawsuit itself.
We think it will take away employee participation, and by employee participation, we mean the employees selecting the folks, not the company selecting the yes man that's gonna.
But it
say what
doesn't
they want.
say that in the lawsuit. In the lawsuit, it says that an on-site union employee will be the employee participant. And isn't that who we would want? Would we not want a USW member at the site to be the person?
And like I said, at most locations, that's how it happened. But at some locations, you had the employer saying, well, we'll pick that on-site union guy.
But the clarification in the lawsuit now makes it mandatory that it's the union person. Like the employer doesn't get to pick the person in the lawsuit.
No, that's what the original law was.
The original law allowed it to be somebody from outside the site, like it could be somebody from Pittsburgh.
Well, yeah, I don't have a problem with that part of it. I think the person that is selected should be somebody that's in the plant, working in the plant. It may be selected by somebody outside the plant from the union, but
See, that's not how I read it.
that part going away that's not part of the part that I have a problem with.
I can bring it up.
Well, we don't want to get into the politics.
Well,
I have not
but
read
it
it.
is
Looked at it.
interesting, it goes back to what I had said initially, is that I appreciate steelworkers' side of this, but I think if Cal OSHA was in this room, they would disagree and say, it's not making things less safe. We wouldn't be implementing this if it was making, or changing it if it was making it less safe. That would be a productive discussion back and forth.
But I fully believe if you had Cal OSHA's technical staff in the room, they'd be telling you the same thing. As Michael told you.
Fred, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just to sort of collaborate with the both of your comments, in reading the letter and then the summation from the standards board, I had a difficult time identifying. I identified the fact that they wanted to change the amount of hazardous material volume in some of the classification information. And then there was a requirement if the employer representative or the union representatives were to change, there was a reasoning or resume that had to be attached. I didn't see where there was seats lost at the table. I sort of gathered from the reading that perhaps the facilities, they wanted management to be able to make the decision, which I presume management does now. But the input is there from the participants at the table.
No.
And I was just I was having trouble discerning that information.
The way it was being handled at most locations is that the union and most often it was the union within the facility, the leadership of the union in the facility would select the people that were participating in the MOCs, in all elements of process safety management. They were selecting the people that participated. And they were selecting people that they knew, one, had the knowledge to effectively do the job. And two, they selected people that were gonna push back if somebody were telling them, nah, we're gonna do it this way because we think this is the right way to do it. One location in particular, and I'm not gonna mention the name here, they pushed back on that from the very beginning. They would select the person. And almost always, they selected the person who they could influence and who they could get the response they wanted out of. And we were constantly having fights about that. And I think that's why they finally filed a lawsuit. Because we kept raising the issue with OSHA, say, hey, look, these guys aren't picking, they're not letting the union pick the guys like the law says.
But Jim, I think the lawsuit clears that up. If y'all will allow me to read these two sentences, this is what's agreed upon, this is what's will be in the regulation now. It says an employee representative is defined as an employee who is on site and qualified for the task selected by a union or by the employees in the absence of a union. Full stop. That's what's required.
That's what I read.
I don't see anything in there that allows the employer to pick the person. Like, that's what's in the law now.
Okay.
What was it before?
Before, it was a union representative where a union exists, or an employee designated representative in the absence of a union that is on-site qualified for the task. The term is to be construed broadly. It may include the local union, the international union, or a refinery or contract employee designated by these parties. So I think in the past, maybe, it sounds like there was some latitude, or it was written vaguely enough that they could say, oh, this is our choice. But I think in the clarification, that choice is gone now.
Yeah, well, I think the idea was when that was developed, even though it was never used. It was idea is that if there was certain expertise that was needed, if the union didn't feel that they had the expertise, that they could hire somebody else to do it. Like I said, that never happened. I'm not exactly sure where that thought process came from. That was not something was ever a deal breaker for me, that part of it.
So Jim, does that language provide you any additional comfort?
Again, Nick was the guy working on this. I will have to go back and review further with him.
Okay.
That was not my understanding of what the final thing was.
Okay.
So the language that you read is something that was negotiated and.
Yeah, this is the final settlement agreement between, I guess, WISPA and Cal OSHA. This is the language that the two parties agreed on, that now they will take to the standards board and write into the regulations.
Yeah, so it was language that agreed to by WISPA, and it wasn't the Cal OSHA Standards Board. Cal OSHA Standards Board hadn't got involved yet.
Right, that's what comes next.
This was the Cal OSHA leadership. This wasn't even the Cal OSHA technical team. This is Cal OSHA leadership. They didn't let any of the other interested parties be involved in that process.
So there's.
Okay, let me just.
Yeah, that's
I know we have somebody
I
from the
don't know
public
if
that wants to
speak
speak to,
to
but I want to make sure that commissioners have an opportunity. Anybody else before I, yeah,
Just real quick, it's, from reading this, it seems like the problem is, the legalities aside, it's a breach in the process. That someone, your union is not present at the table. It was WISPA, Cal OSHA doing the negotiating, and that can't be so. You have to have a union person represented there in that process.
Well, they would have to be named in the lawsuit for that to happen. The lawsuit was between WISPA and Cal OSHA, not between WISPA and the USW.
Yeah, but they've always participated in setting up any of these, the safety decision making. That's not how it's always been, is that there's someone, the guys who go into the refinery and get, exposed to explosion should be at the table.
Yeah, we literally spent years with unions, with public officials, with environmental groups, and with the industry, coming up with that overall plan. Literally years spent on that process.
And one of the really good things that came out of that was every refinery has a USW PSM rep now, right? It's required that we all have a union PSM rep. For a lot of these reasons, to be that voice, that employee participation. And that's required by all of the contracts.
But the question is that enough? I mean, we get something, but
I mean,
is
that's
it
what
enough?
was negotiated between the USW and the national, oil.
And typically that is the person who will assign those other roles. If you're gonna have a PHA being done, you'll assign the guys that you think are gonna be best on the PHA.
Yeah.
Or an MOC, any one of the elements that are covered under the law. And it was typically the process safety management rep that would do the assigning. It wasn't like the guys from the local were doing the assignment, or the guys from the international who were doing the assignment. It was the guys in the plant, in the leadership in the plant, that were doing the assigning. And like I said, there was never a problem at your location. I will say that, there was never a problem at your location, because they worked together and it made it a safer place.
I just know, when this whole lawsuit came out, I was really interested in it, I saw it, I read it. And I kind of saw what the conclusion they came to, and I'm like, well, all this really did was clarify it all. I didn't see where there was any significant changes made.
Well, can I suggest well, first of all, is it okay if we open it up to the public real quick?
Yeah, what does that mean? Like.
We have somebody who wants to speak on this issue.
Oh, yeah, please.
Yeah. I just want to make sure all the commissioners.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Carrie Guerin. I'm the Richmond staff attorney with Communities for a Better Environment. And I'm here in support of Jim and USW Local 5 tonight. And I've got a couple of points drawn from the documents linked to in Local 5's letter that I hope might clarify some of the discussion tonight. The first is that USW did in fact intervene in the lawsuit, nevertheless, can be left out of the settlement agreement to make the conflict go away. WISPA and the oil industry has the resources to bring challenges, to drag administrative agencies along, to do things that the administrative agency, given their preference, might not want to do. But the threat of ongoing litigation that will never ever end can make big, powerful agencies like OSHA do things that may, at the end of the day, weaken safety measures. Now, there's two ways that, at quick reading of the documents linked in, if I might ask for some tech support, if you scroll to the end of the USW's letter here, you can click on the link in their final paragraph. So this is DIR's website itself, and we scroll down and we can find two documents here. We'll go a little bit further. There we go. We'll just stop right there. One thing I want to flag for everybody is that we don't need to click on it now, but we'll go on a different one. The new transcript of January 9, 2025 advisory committee meeting. If you go and read that, you'll find multiple instances there where folks at commissioners there as part of the public hearing are discussing about how the changes to the regulation say clarify the rule. They don't in any way speak about how it'll make it safer. And when pressed for reasons multiple times, you'll see it on the transcripts, the commissioners themselves say, that's part of the litigation. They can't really get into reasons. They don't have reasons to make these changes. But if we want to go, we can click on the draft text, and it's been a really robust discussion with USW reps there. But on the draft text here, I'll point out two things. So one is about this point about who's representing folks for process safety management. So just scroll, it should be on the first or second page here. Here's this language that we were just quoting. It's this underlined sentence. That means it's an addition. So it says nothing in this subsection shall be construed to supersede an employee representative selection process in a collective bargaining agreement. What this means is that everything that we were just reading and quoting from about how employee representatives can be union reps at site, et cetera. This means that if in collective bargaining, industry has the upper hand and can say, actually, we don't want it to be your guy. We want to pick our guy. That means that it's yet one more bargaining chip that industry has during collective bargaining, which devoted listeners will recall is next year. And one final thing I'll note, when we talk about how do other changes in the regulation make things less safe? We'll scroll down to subsection K. It's gonna be towards the end of the document. I apologize, I don't have a page number here. That's my final point with great gratitude for being able to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's large K, we're gonna look for little k.
Just like the CCNRs. Take a look.
Getting motion sickness. It's like a microfiche.
Oh, I think we're close. Yeah, we're back.
X. F, no big F. Big C. Little Q.
Okay, yeah, so I think we've too far. Yeah, here, can we do a control F by any
Yeah,
chance?
you can do a control F and to
I was
bracket.
worried how many Fs I might.
No,
Ks I might find.
bracket, little k bracket, and then under options, click the thing for case matters. So there's the little arrow next to the X. And there should be an options or more. There you go.
Yeah, and
Match case, yeah.
it's gonna be parentheses, not the bracket.
Oh, sorry, not
Okay,
bracket,
yeah, yeah.
parentheses, yeah.
Need you at work with me, Tim.
Parentheses, and now hit return, and you shouldn't get many. We hope. Darn, 33.
No, only 7 matches. I think it'll be real quick. There we go. Yeah, so let's just scroll a couple, 1 or 2 pages from here. What we're looking for is the inherently safer systems analysis. And a change here. On perhaps the next page. Here we go. So, okay, right there. We'll just go up slightly.
Safety measures and safety guards.
Yeah, we'll get the whole, there we are. So what's crossed out is a list that starts with shall include. Legally, that means you gotta do it, right? Shall, we know what that means. Instead, what it's being replaced with is a more permissive may. And this is one of the many examples you'll find in that transcript from the January 9th hearing at which USW reps were there and quite robust in all of their advocacy backing up what Jim's been discussing this evening. So this is one example of indeed how the regulation is seeking to water itself down as a result of this industry lawsuit that ended in a settlement agreement.
Good.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for being here.
Can I just say, man?
Yeah.
I would make the suggestion to the commission that, first of all, our charge is with hazardous material, and the county ISO ad hoc commission is more responsible for getting involved in the OSHA standards issue, and they probably don't want to be involved in a lawsuit either. So though we all advocate safety to the highest degree possible and are in favor of the best safety measures possible, I don't think this getting involved in the lawsuit or making the recommendation on this item is really within our purview. Second of all, and I don't mean to be argumentative, but when we have discussed AB 617 and other issues, shall versus may versus will, that wordsmithing and going back and forth is an issue we have fought for many months when we were discussing maybe 617 and those other legal issues, and I'm not a lawyer. But the interpretation and the use of those words is only gonna get this particular group in a conflict, and I would advocate, we advocate safety, but this, I don't think that the issue is the purview of this commission. Hazardous materials are.
It feels a little bit like kick the can, but I would like to say that I think there is another public comment on there, Shashank.
Is there?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak, and I'll speak very briefly. Mr. Payne, thank you for bringing this issue to everyone's attention, and thank you, Ms. Guerin, representing CBE on this. Thank you for tucking into all the granular detail. I just have a quick question for Mr. Payne, which is, how can community groups offer letters of support? How can we align with you?
You can participate at the California Standards Board hearing when it comes time. I'm not sure that letters help with them. They will have a public comment period. So I would appreciate any help, support.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would argue that it is our purview, because without the safety, without real control, it is the creation of hazardous waste. So your position is that it's not our purview until it becomes a problem. I think our position, our responsibility is before it becomes a problem, and that goes to this issue. And I don't think you have to be a lawyer to understand the difference between will and may, or may and should. Shall.
Yeah, shall is legal, yeah.
Yeah, so it is legal, and so
I didn't say it wasn't legal.
well.
Legal words. I didn't say it wasn't legal. There's just, as we have seen, one is more, what's the terminology, more committed or demanding than the other.
Right.
And shall is not a commitment either. Will is a commitment, as from the way I've been instructed, and may is even less than shall, so, but I'm not a lawyer, so I don't.
Yeah, I think legally, shall is the more powerful one. Legally.
Must.
Okay, and let me just say this, and I'm gonna get to you, Jamie, sorry. And I don't wanna stymie any discussion here, but we will need to figure out what direction we wanna take this pretty quickly here.
I just want to say, as the Longing Service Commissioner, the idea that we don't have purview over this is, how shall I say this, kind of ridiculous. I first got involved with this commission when we were working on the industrial safety ordinance. So it deals with the hazard in the facility, which is what this law does. And to say that this commission does not have purview, I don't know if we don't have purview over that, I don't know what we're doing here.
Well, I just question, you know, as we attend the ISO ad hoc committee meetings, they are the ones that seem to be making the input, and with, you know, the county program and influencing county operating standards. I mean, we only can recommend issues to the board or to the committees. You know, if we make a recommendation to ISO ad hoc, or we make a recommendation to county supervisors, it's a recommendation. You know, that's the purview of the commission to make whatever recommendation it so chooses. I'm just saying that, you know, but the ISO ad hoc committee is the one who, you know, should be making the
Well, I.
Position standing on this.
Eduardo, let me get Jamin real quick and then I'll come
Okay.
back to you. Thank you.
I believe that the commission does have a purview over this, and this is one of the reasons why we have a union rep on this commission. Is because we want the person who is the most informed to be able to tell us how things are running, and this is exactly the same thing that they're asking for within this. And that are being attacked on and are trying to, and they're attacking it in a way of trying to go after the union bargaining aspect, rather than because they don't want to openly say, well, this is just more regulation upon us and we don't want to do it. So they're attacking the union's participation as a way to be able to get to their destination that they're aiming for. You know, and within this commission, from my understanding, is to give recommendations of what we think will be the best and safest policies to go forward. And if somebody is attacking that, regardless of who they are, we should be listening to the people who are the experts within the field. And we should be supporting the members of USW who have worked on this for, I believe it said 5 years. Like, this hasn't come out of nowhere. Like, this has been a long process to come to these regulations. So I think anything that undermines it is something that we should be confronting. So you know, I have a big issue with, as George had said, one of the things that we're not addressing is that we're not considering the workers. The workers are the ones who are going to be caught in the flames. They're going to be the ones who are breathing it in, day out, when they're not having the appropriate safety regulations put in place. And they're going to be the ones who are going to be pissed off when somebody who doesn't know what the hell they're talking about is the one put in charge because they work along with management. So I feel like we should believe the union when they tell us that this is a bad, and that this should be.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna jump.
I'm not saying do more, I'm saying that we should.
And then can I also make a
Yeah.
comment?
I move that we support USW Local 5 letter.
I was second that.
He's making a motion. He's addressing the chair.
Oh, is that an official motion?
Yes.
Do it one more time. Make a motion again.
I move that we support the USW Local 5 letter to
Who are we expressing our support to?
Make a friendly meeting.
Yes.
We're requesting that the Board of Supervisors do that.
Okay, yes,
Do we make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to support this letter?
Okay, so that's a motion on the
Yes,
floor.
that's
Is
a
there,
motion.
is there a second? Okay, second. So any discussion before? Okay, let's go for a vote on this.
Fred,
You don't want to discuss it first?
We can, that's what I said. Is there any
It's kind of a
discussion?
test vote. I'd like to see how the rooms go.
I've
Yeah,
made
if you
my
wanna-
statements, I don't,
It's up to you all. I mean, from what I've read in the letter, the letter does not contain any content of what is being asked for. Like, it's not that I'm necessarily against the letter, the letter doesn't say what it is that you're supporting. It just says, it calls for, we don't want this at all, like, get rid of the whole thing, and it's a lawsuit, like, there's no way to get rid of the whole thing, like, OSHA has to act on this in some way. And if you were more specific about what it was that you wanted to happen in the letter, I could maybe understand that. But I don't know, Eduardo, if you've read the letter, but there's no content in there. It's a lot of, purple prose, but there's nothing in there that says, this is the part that's bad, fix this part.
Well, Drew, can I interrupt? Because you're right. And that's why that gentleman was gonna write the letter.
Yes.
And it would have that in there. So I think that's what we're lacking is the specifics.
And I apologize for
No,
that.
that's fine.
Like I said, Nick, that was what Nick was going to do. This is actually a letter that was meant to go to.
Yeah,
It's the membership. It wasn't meant-
Membership, right?
It's not meant to be a letter that we're looking for support.
Right.
Well, I appreciate, the support. That wasn't the intent of that letter.
Well, then can we amend it to draft a letter to the supervisor, that we would send to the supervisors and recommendation of supporting the position of USW?
So there's no motion necessary for that. Somebody can write a letter and bring it here for approval or disapproval, right? That's the first step is write the letter, then we read it and say, yeah, we agree or don't agree.
Which is, I think what Jim is saying
Yeah,
is,
exactly.
that was the intent today.
That was the intent
Yeah.
today is what
So
I
I think it's just we're,
I thought this was.
Yeah.
Nick and Michael were gonna work on that,
okay,
and that never happened, so.
can you
I'll-
go
I'll
back?
step back and do that, yes.
Yeah, okay, I think that would be good. And there's no date on the standards board meeting. It just says somewhere in the future, I thought.
Yeah, I would think they would have to notice it for 30 days, I would think,
Yeah.
for public comment. So you'll have some kind of
Yeah,
warning when it's coming.
initially, the rumor mill was it was gonna be their April meeting.
Well, that, I think, I'm not speaking for the whole group, but I think it'd make it easier for me to make a more informed decision or vote on if I can see the specifics. That would be good.
Okay,
be ready before
I
the
withdraw my
planning policy
motion and we'll look for that letter.
Could the letter be done before the planning and policy meeting? Because wouldn't you guys be the ones who would at least look at it?
Take a look at it.
Yeah,
Prior to it coming to the
we're due to
board.
have a planning and policy meeting each month,
If
right?
you,
Or next-
yeah.
The unfortunate part of that is I'll have to turn that over to somebody else in my group.
And
because
then it would
I'm
come
gonna
down.
be in your support through that.
if you don't
21st.
mind,
Got it. So see what you
if
can
you don't
do on
mind,
your end.
I can have my staff work with the union on that letter.
Oh, yeah, that, you've got a staff member probably be very good at that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We're on borrowed time here.
Yeah. Okay, is everybody okay with that, Jim going back and bring back a document that we could all look at that has the specific, okay.
Yeah.
In a timely
And
fashion.
actually.
Yeah, as quickly as,
Yeah, that's
Actually,
specific to the
the
issue.
change has been, since Jim's going to be away, my staff member, my policy director will be working with the union to write the letter, and then I'll bring it back. at the next
And
meeting.
Michael Lucy said he would,
who's your alternate, is he?
my alternate is the guy that just had
Oh,
surgery.
okay, okay,
And
see what you
Eduardo,
can, see what you can do and to get a document for us.
And Eduardo, your staff would be able to bring it back before the policy meeting
Yes,
the next month.
yes, I can guarantee that.
Okay, Maureen.
Just quickly to address this, it's outside of our purview issue. I just want to point out that the ISO ad hoc committee is an ad hoc committee. They are a subcommittee of us.
No, they're not. They're
They're
an ad hoc committee to the board of supervisors.
Right.
Not to us.
Well, I still stand that it's important that we show leadership here and from our little table here and support the letter that's going to be written.
Okay, all right. Are we good? Thank you, Jim. Thank you all.
Jim.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate your input. Okay, so I know we're on borrowed time, sorry. Let me see, where are we?
Number 9.
Number 9.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, can we let these guys go?
If there's no objection, do you mind if we step out?
I'm so sorry. You guys could have gone earlier than that. Yeah, please.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
having us. I
Thank
appreciate it.
Guys.
If there's any questions or follow-up, you can definitely find my information through county health or through the fire department.
No?
Yeah.
So, where are, discuss, is the student intern online?
You have Alex online. I'm not
Okay,
sure about.
I was gonna say if we could push this, but no, not if he's online, ready to go. Is everybody, if you have to leave, I think we're beyond
Yeah.
decision making now.
Yeah, you're not gonna have.
I've got volleyball athletes that need to be picked up.
Please, yeah, if you have to go, but I don't wanna, I know the student intern's probably done some work to get prepared for this. So let's do
And I
that.
apologize for leaving her
That's
or
okay.
him, whichever it may be, but my wife has already been waiting at the train station for 15 minutes.
Uh-oh.
I'm already in trouble.
Better run, Jim.
And I have two
That is
other
in your purview.
organizations that I should
Yes.
go to.
Okay,
We do have
Thank you.
Alex online.
okay, Alex?
Here.
Lou and I met
I'm here.
yesterday to talk about cadmium remediation strategy. And I was hoping to get a little info from some of you folks here.
Oh, I think a lot of my questions are probably for like a longer time, but I was just talking about my main issue was, or my main thought was, how do industries use or end up having cadmium get leaked? But I understand that's like a long process that, you know, some people might have to do research on. So no worries if you can't answer that right away.
Isn't it most losable?
Yeah, Alex, I know Brianna sent out to some of us the question, and I have the question out to some of the folks in the industry. And I'm not an expert on it by any means. And, you know, obviously it's for corrosion
Paint,
coatings and
cars.
things like that. What I don't know are, you know, are refineries using it? Are waste management companies using it? I don't know, but I do have some questions out to find out who is using it, or is it a byproduct of somebody's process?
Alex, I can tell you, I think cadmium is used in a lot of automobile paints. And
Okay.
I believe it is, and I think one of the ways it's managed, like in the scrap yards where they shred automobiles and generate defined particulates, is there's a surfactant and a collection methodology they use when they shred cars as a way to separate, you know, and isolate. It fixates the cadmium waste that would be in the paint on an automobile before it goes into special, you know, landfill classification use. Well, just, you know, for landfilling. But in terms of other electronics or batteries and things of that nature, I'm not that much aware.
Yeah, rechargeable batteries, for sure. I think solar cells as well.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But I'll let you know what I find out from my sources.
Okay, thank you. I would appreciate that. And your name was, sorry, I can't see like who's talking.
Oh, that's okay.
Mark.
It's Mark, Hughes.
Mark Hughes. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's all I had.
That's all you had?
For now, at least.
Sorry we kept you hanging on for so long.
No worries. No worries. I enjoyed the conversations. Don't worry.
Good. Okay, thank you, Alex.
Then we do not have Amy with us online, so we can jump to the next one.
Okay.
Which I just kind of wanted to give everyone a little update. So next month for April, Adam has set up a Jim Hosler from CAL FIRE. We're gonna get a presentation on the petroleum pipeline inspections. June, we have locked down a presentation with that company 12 that Lisa Martell had brought up with the jet aviation fuel from CO2. And then Adam and I are still out on trying to get presentations for PFAS and then the DTSC. And it's gonna either go May or July. We're not sure which ones they'll present at. We're just trying to find out if they can present. But those are the presentations from guest speakers that we have set up for now, based on what the committees have met with.
Okay, yeah, I really like the presentations. We should probably, I don't know if you did, give a time frame for them.
You know,
I could have kept going. That was a polite way of saying it.
He did mention in a message that it was gonna be, you know, he thought it was gonna be kind of long, so keep the agenda to a minimum.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know like an hour though,
Yeah.
cause he asked in the beginning, he's like, oh, how long? I'm like, I'll try and limit it no more than like 30 minutes. He's like, oh, it's an hour. And I was like,
Oh,
well, I was like, we did limit the other items. I'm like, so we
Yeah.
will see, you know, I figured the other stuff, I knew we were gonna meet with Alex, and then I figured his priorities, I kind of just wanted to touch on the guest speakers. But
Well, it was a good
for
use of time
12,
anyway.
I did tell them, you know, keep it, you know, no more than 30 minutes.
yeah, okay, perfect.
So moving forward, I will have to confirm with Adam for the April one, if he gave them a time limit.
Okay. All right, reports from commissioners. You have
I
something?
just have one question. I know that AIA is interested in knowing if we have any decisions or how we would go about trying to get them, you know, get them some sort of financial sponsorship again through the county with their website to help them, and whether we can agendize that for next month if there's time, or if we have enough information, or Adam or yourself brings back what other alternatives may be available to help them post their, you know, maintain their website.
Definitely. I know you mentioned it was
Association of Architects?
For the pipeline safety.
That's what I know.
Oh, yeah. You're probably thinking, what's
It's
he
the
talking
architect.
about?
What are you talking about? mean the
Yeah,
Friends of-
we could agendize that.
The
Yeah,
Friends
keep in
of-
mind, I think they were also looking at transferring some responsibility to the county as well.
Yeah.
The
Well, I
county
think
said
they
no,
said
right?
the
I remember
maintenance
that's-
of it
They
would
did
be
have a very high
handled,
cost.
but it was
Yes.
just the fee amount, so I don't know with that if we have to make a formal recommendation to the board, if that's something, if we can like. Something that could be done in an email to ask, or if they would be the ones to approve the budget for that, or how, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the internal process. I know when it was brought up a year, 2 years ago, Supervisor Joya was not in favor of putting any money for it. Specifically, unless it was sponsored by possibly another organization, so I don't know
But they were
if
looking
that's
for
still the
funding.
mindset.
You find an organization that'll fund it, I'll put it on the county website. You find me a grant, I'll put it on the website for 3 years, but you
Yeah.
give me the grant, I need $9,000 a year. I'm gonna need $27,000, I'll be happy to put it on there.
Anyway, I know it's not for discussion.
Yeah,
No, that's what-
okay.
that's what they're telling you.
We'll get on the agenda. Any other, yes?
Was as far as like, I have to agree with you, the discussion, the presentation on batteries was really strong. Are we gonna have any follow-up? Like, do we need to agendize something related to any further discussion in the future related to, like?
It's on one of the, I think, operationals committee, isn't it one of their priorities?
Which one?
The batteries, I thought it was, no?
I'm just wondering, cause
Battery, for ops, yeah, battery waste management, recycling, sodium batteries versus lithium, and then emergency.
Yeah, so I think that this was like a first step, let's get educated, and then the committee can then make a
does it have to
decision.
be put on the agenda for the operations committee? Is that the way it works? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's listed in our goals, that's how we're carrying it, so it's in our goals, our
And
goals.
then we'll
keep moving.
discuss it within the
Say,
operations.
discuss the goal, bingo, you're on.
Okay, and then
It'll
some,
be a standing agenda item.
okay, great, thank you. And then the other one was Maureen and I were at actually the lawyer was there last night also, kind of a thing. It was at the CBE offices in Richmond and they were doing soil sampling. And both Maureen and I were really kind of like impressed. They had community members there that took soil. I took soil from my home. I live in Pittsburgh. She took soil from her home. And then they had this X-ray something fluorescent machine. I think they're worth like $30,000, but there's some guy from Stanford. And he was letting everyone know like how many heavy metals possibly they have in their soil and stuff. And we just thought, I don't know where this would go with us, given the discussion about, is it appropriate with the Hazardous Materials Commission? But it just seemed like a really neat thing. So again, I don't know where that's gonna go. Maureen, maybe you can help me out with this as far
It would
as.
have been great to have that kind of technology with that Thanksgiving Day release of heavy metals, 24 tons. And people said, can I plant in my garden? You know, how contaminated is it? And there were, the studies pretty much just was addressed at where did the plume go? But it wasn't that practical for the day-to-day public person who just wants to plant a garden. This was fascinating. There were 10 elements that he just like held it down for 3 minutes. And there's different frequencies and it's an X-ray technology. It was fascinating.
Yeah.
And we had answers within 3 minutes. And just write them down. It's a great tool for the public and to get Stanford involved with these refinery incidents. It just made a lot of sense.
But the same thing for me, I'm new to this whole sort of structure. Does that have to become an agenda item for the operations or for this commission at this level, or how does that?
The commissioner is gonna ask to have items placed on an agenda.
Okay, yeah. So how do you want to do that, Maureen? Do we do it for the operations and then we discuss it there?
Yeah, look, let's certainly do it in the operations committee and then we could bring it to the full commission.
Yeah, what Brianna and
I'll talk about
Adam do is
like, which we will. We'll know who it is and who to ask to come and talk.
they reach out, they reach out to the chairs of each of the committees when they're putting the agendas together. So that would be a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
so
we can
if,
keep the language
so talk, who's your chair?
meld into the conversation.
It's Mario's chairman, he's vice chair.
There's the problem right there. Hey. Yeah, so that would be perfect then.
Yep.
You just bring that to Oh, Jamin knows now, because Brianna and Adam will
Thank
reach
you.
out to you.
X-ray fluoroscopy.
Okay,
I can't
good.
say it.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Nothing else? Without objection, we are adjourned. Yeah, but that was a lot of stuff. Hey, did everybody sign this?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went around twice.
Yeah, good. You only signed it once, right?